racing with no legs to a driver who can barely steer. These are drivers you won't believe exist. Let's kick things off with the story of Alex Zanardi. He spent a few seasons in F1 back in the 90s, but never really got any big results, mostly because his cars were, well, let's just say they weren't exactly rocket ships. Still, his whole career is basically a masterclass in bouncing back from setbacks. His first big hurdle came in 1993 at Spa, where he had a nasty crash that left him with a concussion and out of racing for months. Most people would have called it quits, but not Zanardi.
I have a small pain everywhere. Actually, I don't know where the pain comes from, because as I told you, it comes from all around the body. But it's not so bad anyway.
He came back the very next season like nothing had happened. After taking a break from F1, the Italian went racing in kart. Kind of the American cousin of IndyCar, and absolutely smashed it.
Can he get him back? Can he hang on? Oh, look at this!
Winning the championship in 97 and 98.
His celebratory donuts have since become the standard in winter circles all over the country.
It was proof that he was not only quick, but seriously talented. Plus, Zanardi always loved trying his hand in different racing categories, which helped him build a super solid career and turned him into one of the most versatile and most loved drivers out there. But then came the 15th of September 2001, the day that everything changed. During a kart race at the Lausitz circuit in Germany, Zanardi lost control of his car and had this absolutely terrifying crash.
Oh, with a terrible crash!
The impact was brutal. His legs were so badly injured they had to be amputated. On top of that, he lost about 75% of his blood. At one point, he literally had less than a liter left in his body. I mean, how do you even survive that? Somehow, Zanardi did. That crash wasn't just a turning point in his career, it was a turning point in his entire life. But instead of throwing in the towel, Zanardi did what only Zanardi would do. He reinvented himself. After countless surgeries and a long, grueling rehab, he started adapting to his new life, proving once again that you just can't keep him down. Zanardi didn't just fight to recover from his physical injuries, he also fought to get his independence back and live a normal daily life. And believe it or not, he actually got back behind the wheel. Just 2 years later, he was racing again.
Here I am, I'm still addicted to it.
This time in touring cars with a BMW 3 Series that had the throttle and brakes on the steering wheel. Now you'd think, okay, cool, but he's not going to be competitive, right? Wrong. In just 4 years, he pulled off 4 wins and a bunch of podiums. And yes, he even returned to the very same track where he had that horrific accident. Talk about full circle. But Zanardi wasn't done surprising people. With time, he picked up a completely new sport, paracycling. And of course, he didn't just try it, he dominated it. He grabbed 2 gold medals at the London 2012 Paralympics, then another gold and a silver at Rio 2016. And get this, that last medal came on September 15th, exactly 15 years after his life-changing crash. Proof that it's not about what happens to you, but how you get back up and keep going. Zanardi's story actually reminds me a lot of Robert Kubica, and by the way, I made a whole video about him a while back. Super interesting one. I'll leave it linked here. And hey, while you're at it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Kubica was one of the most talented F1 drivers of the 2000s. He scored 12 podiums and even won the 2008 Canadian GP. Just 1 year after he had one of the most famous crashes I can remember, which I've shown a million times already.
Oh, he's got off and Kubica hits the wall. It's a huge accident and real concern on the BMW Sauber pit wall.
Believe it or not, he came out of that accident unscathed. And in fact, that wasn't the accident that changed his life. Everything was going great in his career until February 2011. While getting ready for the new F1 season, Kubica decided to take part in a small local rally in Italy called the Ronde di Andorra. And it did not end well. He lost control of the car, smashed straight into a guardrail, and the thing literally went through the car, destroying his right arm in the process. He was rushed to the hospital after losing a ton of blood, went through a marathon surgery, and was even placed in a coma. Against all odds, he pulled through, but his right arm never fully recovered, and for someone dreaming of getting back into an F1 car, that was a massive problem. But just like Zanardi, Kubica never gave up. A lot of people doubted him, some even turned their backs on him, but his ambition and determination never wavered. Slowly but surely, he started climbing back into single-seaters, aiming for that F1 comeback. He did a bunch of tests with Renault starting in 2017, then in 2018 became a test driver for Williams. And yep, the moment finally came in 2019. He officially returned to the grid with Williams. The car was, let's say, not great, but even so, he managed to score a point and later went on to be a test driver for Alfa Romeo. And it didn't stop there. He also made his way back into rallying, and from 2021 onwards into endurance racing, first in LMP2, then in LMP1. And the peak of it all, in 2025, he won at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. An absolutely epic comeback story, proving once again that for Kubica, giving up was never an option. Now, someone I do wish had considered giving up is the one and only, the legend himself, Mr. Mahavir Raghunathan. The OGs of the channel know exactly who I'm talking about, but if you're new here, where do I even start? This guy isn't really a driver you won't believe exists. He's more like a driver who shouldn't exist. His dream, make it to F1 someday. His biggest obstacle? Honestly, himself. See, Mahavir is the classic case of someone with way too much money and way too little talent. Somehow, I genuinely don't know how, he made it all the way to Formula 2. And that season was pure chaos. Crashes, disasters, embarrassing moments.
So he is gesturing for more help to try and get out. The car beginning to smoke, of course, if it's stationary for too long.
And not one, but 2 race bans.
We have to turn the steering.
And yet, somehow, 2 years later, Alfa Romeo actually invited him to do an F1 test. Yeah, let that sink in. And believe it or not, Mahavir is still out there racing in touring cars today. Yes, even after all the crimes against motorsport he's committed along the way. If anything, he's living proof that sometimes not giving up isn't exactly the best option. But hey, at least he hasn't made it to Formula 1. Yet. For now. Now, someone who actually did make it to F1, and honestly, it feels impossible, is the legend himself, Yuji Ide. Against all odds, and despite having about the same driving skill as a shopping trolley with a broken wheel, this man somehow became an F1 driver. Though, let's be real, can you even call him an F1 driver? He only managed 4 races before getting banned. Yep, banned. After a pretty okay run in touring cars and Formula Nippon in 2006, at the ripe old age of 31, Super Aguri gave him a seat. Japanese driver, Japanese team. Yeah, you get the idea. And honestly, watching Ide in F1 was like watching me trying to drive after 8 shots at the bar. He didn't speak English, couldn't control the car, and was basically a spin machine, causing chaos left and right. Highlights? Oh, there were a few. Like in Australia when he spun.
Yuji Ide found at the beginning of the qualifying hour. He couldn't find a gear, got stranded on track.
Caused a red flag and then had no clue how to put the car into reverse. Or the absolute classic at Imola when he basically turned Christian Albers into an astronaut. For everyone's safety, including his own, the FIA decided to ban Ide after that, and honestly, fair enough. Like I've been showing you, some drivers are so bad, it's hard to believe they were even real, but now let's flip the script, because this next story feels like something straight out of a movie. Billy Monger. The young Brit made his debut at just 16 years old in British F4. Grabbed a few podiums and looked like he had some serious potential. But then, on April the 16th, 2017, at Donington, this happened.
On the inside line, so up into 13th place.
You can see they're all scrabbling around for grip. Oh, it's on! Oh, that's horrendous!
A massive crash. One of those that when you see it, you know it's really, really bad.
Don't worry, it's all right.
Billy was pulled out of the car as fast as possible and rushed by helicopter to the hospital, where doctors managed to save his life. But the crash left permanent damage. Both of his legs had to be amputated, the left one above the knee, the right one below. The impact was just too severe, there was nothing they could do. For most people, that would have been the end of their racing career, but not for Billy. After countless rehab sessions, months of hard work, and with the help of a fundraising page his team set up to help support his recovery, he did the unthinkable. He got back on track that same year. In November 2017, he returned to racing, adapting to a car with hand controls. And in 2018, he was competing in British Formula 3. And honestly, he killed it. 4 podiums, competitive all season. Then in 2019, he went up to Euro Formula Open, and guess what? He actually won the Grand Prix of Pau.
He wins the 78th running of the Pau Grand Prix.
Yeah, you heard that right. No legs, driving with hand controls and still beating everyone. After everything he'd been through, he was back on top. pure inspiration. I love stories like these. In June 2018, he even got the chance to drive an F1 car, the Sauber C30, proving dreams can really come true. Since 2019, he's been working as an F1 commentator, and for other sports too, but he hasn't stopped chasing challenges. He's even tried triathlon, and in 2024 he became the fastest double amputee ever to finish the Ironman World Championship in Hawaii. And now he's got his sights set on the 2028 Paralympic Games in Los Angeles. This guy seriously doesn't know the meaning of limits. Another guy who clearly doesn't know the meaning of limits, though I'm not sure if it's in the best way, is Chanok Nisani. His story is one of the most strangest and incredible you'll ever hear. So Nisani was this successful real estate businessman living in Budapest. In 2001, he went to the Hungarian GP as a spectator. He hears the engines, smells the fuel, and suddenly goes, you know what, screw it, I want to be an F1 driver. Optimistic? His friend's reaction? Yeah, sure, buddy, just don't forget to take your meds when you get home. But Nisani was a man on a mission, and now he had a brand new goal. At 38 years old with zero racing experience, he started his motorsport career. Backed, of course, by some personal sponsorship thanks to his business success. And you're probably thinking, okay, but how far could this joke really go? Not far at all, right? Well, 4 years later, Nisani was back at the Hungarian GP, but this time not as a spectator, as a driver. Yep. So how the f did he pull this off? Well, Nisani kicked things off in the Hungarian Formula 2000 Championship in 2002. And get this, he actually finished runner-up, then went on to win in the very next year. Yeah, none of this was making any sense. In 2003, he moved up to international categories like the World Series Lights, and in 2004 was racing in Formula 3000. He didn't exactly turn heads with his results, but he never let go of the dream. And somehow he shocked everyone when he became a test driver for Jordan, ending up, of course, more than 9 seconds per lap slower than teammate Nick Heidfeld. But the madness didn't stop there. Somehow, and honestly I have no idea how, Nisani convinced the Minardi boss to sign him as a test driver for the 2005 season. He even got to do some sessions with the team and made his official debut in free practice at the Hungarian GP. Unreal. And how did he do? Yeah, not great. He ended up almost 13 seconds off the pace, went straight into the gravel, and had to be lifted out by a crane while sitting in the car. That was basically the end of his racing career. But here's the thing, instead of being embarrassed, Nisani looks back on it with pride. And honestly, who can really deny it? The guy actually achieved his dream of becoming an F1 driver. Being a racing driver is the dream for so many people, but it's really hard to pull off, not just because the competition's crazy, but because it costs a ton of money. But did you know there was actually a program that could turn sim races into real-life races? Yeah, it was called GT Academy, run by Nissan and Gran Turismo, and it held a contest to find the best sim racer and make them a pro driver. And honestly, it worked. It turned regular people like you and me into real professional racers. Lucas Ordóñez, Nicolas Hamann, and Jan Mardenborough, who I even made a video about a while back, started out just playing from their bedrooms and ended up having real racing careers thanks to this program, which ran from 2008 to 2016. Obviously, they were super talented, and the academy also helped them get stronger and more athletic so they'd be ready for real racing. But did you know it wasn't always like that? Back in the early days of F1, drivers barely trained or did any kind of fitness. Honestly, the best pre-race prep was usually just a cigarette and a coffee. That gave us guys like José Froilán González, nicknamed El Toro de la Pampa because of his big, bulky build. But fun fact, he was the first driver to snag a win for Ferrari in F1. Who would have thought, right? Even later on, drivers like Alan Jones, world champ in 1980, or Juan Pablo Montoya in the early 2000s, were slightly heavier than today's drivers, let's say, but it didn't stop them from proving they were absolute beasts on the track. And if weight hasn't stopped some drivers, age hasn't either. Look at Alonso, still giving it his all every weekend at 44. The oldest racing driver ever? A guy named Eric Berger, who at 89 years old and 58 days actually raced in the Falkenberg Classic 2014 in Sweden. Crazy, right? In F1, it was Louis Chiron from Monaco, who raced in the 1955 Monaco GP at 58 years and 227 days, and even finished 6th. Meanwhile, I can barely walk after a light leg day at the gym. And as you can see, some of these drivers look like they came straight out of a movie. Did you expect that many? If you liked it, drop a comment and I might do a part 2. Meanwhile, here's a video I'm pretty sure you'll love too. And as always, thank you for watching.